Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. I'm your host and super CEO, Lindsay Liu. Joining me today is Frank and Bo. Not only are Frank and Bo the hosts of the Building Talk podcast, they are seasoned resident managers that have decades of experience managing large teams and several hundred unit properties in New York City. Not too shabby. Today, two stories. One about when a little too much ambition leads to a showdown with the Landmarks Commission, and then a story that makes me remember why I said I will never be on the board of an HOA again. So Frank, let's start with you. We're taking a trip down memory lane to one of the very first properties you managed. Tell us a little bit about the building, and then we'll go right into what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us on, first and foremost. It's
Thank
great
you.
to be on. Many years ago, it was a building at 110 Green Street. It's in Soho, in the heart of Soho, and it was a 12-story landmark building with, and believe it or not, the true mixed-use word was this building. This building had rentals, it had commercial, it had portions of condo, it had loft. I mean, it had everything in there. So, when I took it over. I was tasked with running every single thing with a small crew back then, and we did what we had to do. We got it running, and I was there. Wow, I was there about 10 years, believe it or not. I was there for a while, but in the beginning, the outside looked kind of shabby. And it ran from Green Street all the way through to Mercer Street in Soho. So on the Mercer Street side, it just looked run down, but it was like a gray color paint that was on the service elevator. That when you open the elevator doors for the elevator car, it was right into the street. So all that just looked shabby and crappy. And I went to the owners, because it was the owners who ran it, and I go, "Why don't we paint this, make it look pretty?" Well, he goes, "Yeah, let's grab a gray and we'll do it." So we sat down, we spent hours looking at the grays because we had two owners, so they were going back and forth, and we finally decided, all right, this is the gray. Fantastic. Got the crew on a Saturday, and we're all out there painting it. It was the whole face of the building on the front. Front is there, was a little store, the whole bit. Painted it, got it nice and clean. Well, not the whole building, I'm sorry, just the front entrance portion, because just to make it have like a service entrance here, a store, and then another service entrance. So total would be about 35 feet lengthwise of it, give or take. So, but it was all old wood and stuff, and it just needed sprucing up. So we painted it, we got it all pretty. And the residents coming down, seeing us on a Saturday and a Sunday painting it, and they're all happy. And oh my God, finally, this looks wonderful. This is incredible. Great.
So
well, besides them seeing it, the landmark sees it like on a Tuesday or Wednesday. They pass by. For some reason, somebody must have said something, or they just pass by. Oops. And they come to us and they go, "That's not the gray." And because this is a landmark building, it has to be a specific gray. So we're like, all right, what gray is it? We don't know. Well, so how are we going to know? So we went, and it took about, believe it or not, almost 3 months going back and forth, sitting down with the Landmarks Commission, with the owners, all of us coming out, finally getting close to a gray that they thought would be the right, appropriate gray for Soho. And then
so
we had to repaint.
They're like, that's not the right gray, but I'm just going to choose the gray that I like? Or did they have something they were mad at?
They had to pick it, right? That committee had to pick it, and they had some old pictures, but of course they're black and white, so they wouldn't. But we had to get as close to it, and had like a green tint to it, and that's how it went. It was like a gray green. It was a horrendous color, but that's the color we had to use for that.
They have a name for that color.
Yeah, what?
Frank did it.
Yeah, Frank did it. Right.
That's the Frank did it gray color.
Right. But that's
color of the year.
And it led to one of the owners going on the board for the Landmark Commission because he was so frustrated with how they ran everything and how they just gave us this runaround of a color that he was like, "I'm going to join," and he did. He joined, and he was on there for quite a long time. He was.
Did he change anything?
He changed some stuff on the way that they, the meeting time schedules, how to get, responses to people quicker than, all that time. Because the Landmark Commission, if you know anything about them, they don't meet every week or every month. It's whenever they feel like meeting, they're going to meet and they're going to go discuss something. And if on their agenda there's 6 things, but the time is running and they only got to 5, sorry, we'll see you next time for your agenda, whenever that happens.
So in that 3 months. In that 3 months, are you like mixing paint the entire time? Are you just waiting?
Oh my goodness. Yes, the swatches. We would just put swatches, little swatches, and landmark would come by. That's not the one, and you go to the next one. That's not the one. No, no, and then we're making it different colors. It was just a complete another nightmare. Something that we thought was, oh my God, we're going to spruce this up. It's going to look beautiful, fantastic. No, 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 no.
That's what happens when you try to go above and beyond. You get
Right,
punished
right,
by the city.
right. No good deed goes unpunished. That was it.
No, you really didn't get punished. You
No,
got
you
the
get
right color at the end.
Right, right.
Even though it took you many, many months, and
Right.
dealing with landmarks is unbelievably.
Oh, yeah.
We actually had the same thing on the Helmsley building, if you know that, at 230 Park Avenue. When they were changing the windows, they thought the window color was red, and they had this red color painted for ready to go for the windows. Uh-uh. Landmark says, and they had to do a spectrum analysis of the paint going way back, and the first coat of paint was actually a forest green. I'm like, how do you go from red to green? But over the years, so many different coats. But the original was forest green, and they were able to tell us that, and we had to do everything green.
Yeah.
So it's okay if it's a different color if you've inherited it. What
Well,
it's only if you change it? What? Yeah,
only if Landmark catches it, believe it
Yes.
or not.
they catch
It's
it.
got to be. If they don't catch, yeah, they're busy, they're doing their stuff, and then one day somebody sees it and goes, "Wait a minute, that's it, you're done."
Yeah,
Yeah.
in every neighborhood, especially
Right.
in one like Soho,
Right.
you have the little old ladies that walking up and down the street, looking and looking and looking, and that's what happened to us a couple of times. That window was green. I remember it 60 years ago.
Right.
Okay, could they call landmarks? Landmarks, and guess what? They're right. So
Yeah. Even
They're
even
usually not wrong though.
right.
if they're not feeding the
Yeah.
pigeons
Well, they got to do something.
and the squirrels,
But even the profile of a window, so the edges of the window where you have the glass and then the framing, those profiles have to match exactly to what it was, and you would have to make it custom
Wow.
so that it matches the profile, or you get a variance from landmarks. And we don't even want to start talking about a variance from landmarks.
yeah, never get
That's forget it. But yeah, they'll be that specific.
So for your teams now, I'm sure you don't want to discourage initiative, but how do you advise team members when they've got new fancy ideas? Now.
Well, if it's a landmark building, include the landmarks commission. Be friendly with them because it's only going to help you. It'll hurt you if you're going to go up against them because they truly do have more power than the Department of Buildings.
It's also better to approach them
Yeah,
and say, "Listen, can you advise me on this project?"
right.
Instead
Include
of
them, yeah.
just
A box
going
of
ahead.
donuts, yeah. Box of donuts and coffee goes a long way.
So you can
Absolutely.
bring them in advance,
Yeah,
get their sign
yeah,
off, good to go.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Lesson
Sometimes
learned.
yeah, it depends because they might have records of your building that you will not have, and you get lucky and they have something, and you go, "Oh my goodness, this will work," and that will help you out and makes life much easier for you.
I'm sure you never look at gray paint the same way.
Oh, no, no, no. That building taught me. That building taught me a lot in those 10 years. It taught me a lot, a lot.
Amazing. All right.
We've
So,
never painted anything since.
Yeah.
Bo, you've got a
Yes.
story. I'm going to call it a trigger alert for any current or former HOA board members. So if you're a board member, this might bring some feelings back. Tell us a little bit about the building.
Oh my God.
Keep it short and sweet because he rambles.
No. It's going to be short and sweet, and because I don't want
You're
to
allowed
open
to
up
just,
the wound.
or something, Frank.
Yeah. No. It's actually it was a building that I happened to take over. It was in Long Beach, right on the boardwalk. Look, it was a beautiful building. It was a condominium. It just had issues within the board. And the board and their personalities, sometimes they didn't do a match. There was the old guard, the new guard. There were people that wanted to fix things up and how to do it and spruce it. Others were against it. But, as a management company, you try not to get in the way of that. But unfortunately, sometimes you're drawn into it. So as these projects and everything started going forward, we started having really bad meetings where there's a lot of shouting, a lot of uh, you know, arguing. Previous to the meetings, others There were, let's say, pamphlets and letters put under the door for these people accusing the others of this and that. And it's like, wow, what did I get into? You walk into the meeting and literally it was split down the middle, one side on one side on the other. Nobody wanted to sit next to each other. I was like, what the heck is going on here when I first got there? But even though, some of the stuff that I wanted to do and I saw that needed, you couldn't push it through. And I think that was the frustrating part for me because you want to get this building done. You want to get certain remedies and you want to get certain things, accomplished. But being it was close to the beach, maybe they had a laid back affair. I don't know. We had an instance, if you know, and I happen to really love having women as a concierge. Unfortunately, the woman that they had there, she wore high heels and happened to slip and fall in the lobby. Well, high heels are never part of the uniform. However, she sued the building. She won the case. Okay, good for you. Whatever. I don't know how, but okay. The building brought her back in heels. And here I am like, no, you can't do that. But, okay, fine. Okay, let that go. Keep going on. Keep going on.
Well, that's
It got, it got so contentious. And as a matter of fact, during this time, the super wasn't there. So I was spending a couple of 2 or 3 days a week out there. It's like, okay, hey, I'm on the beach. It's great. Yeah, no, I'm always scurrying around doing something. I even had to maintain the pool, which was really cool. So lo and behold, it got very contentious, and all of a sudden, half the board comes to me and says, "Come with us. We're meeting with this lawyer. We're going to sue the other half of the board for defamation, slander. They put our name through the mud, and this and that." I'm like, "Holy crap!" I said, "Okay."
How did you get dragged into that? They wanted you on their side?
Yeah, well, I was on. I made it plain. I'm on nobody's side, but you just sort of play along. Oh, yeah, really? Oh, I could see your point. Okay. So we get there. They meet with them and everything. Oh, yeah, we like this guy. We like this guy. $10,000 retainer. I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? We need you to sign off on a check request and get it to us so we can pay the lawyer. So you want me to use the condo money,
But
half the condo money for half the board to sue the other half of the board. I'm like, let me think about this for a second. So actually, I had a very good management company. I had good management crew, and I brought it back to them. I said, listen, you know, it is such a problem, such an issue. Number one, we don't want to lose the building. I mean, we're based in a city. This is a way out there, in Long Beach. And I'm like, I don't want to lose the building. I kind of like the building, and it's an income stream for the business. But if we start doing this, we're in trouble. And our fiduciary responsibilities for the whole board, not just certain members of the board. So I said, the only way we can do this is if we just resign. If we resign, we can't cut any checks. We can't do anything until they get another company to do that or whatever, and hopefully it'll come about. That's exactly what we did. We had to resign the commission and say, hey, you know what? No, we're not doing this. This is way past any kind of laws, anything else. And of course, let the lawyers deal with it. But we got the building back. It was no big issue.
How did they
However, those
resolve?
bonds,
Yeah, how did you get it back?
because the other sane board, there was the insane and the sane. Yes, realized that, you know what, we're stuck in the middle, and actually we did them a favor by bowing out. So we couldn't cut any checks for them. So they didn't want to put up their money. They wanted to use the building's money to sue the other half of the unit owners. Right. And I'm like, we can't do that, right? Legally or ethically. So we said, okay, you know what? We got the building back. I managed to get a super. I got my butt out of there. It was beautiful in the summertime, but January, February, oh my God, it was freezing. And the winds blowing out literally took the paint off my car. So I'm like, I've never been back. And it's a long time. I've never been back anywhere near it. And I'm telling you, it's over 25, 30 years. Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know what, I usually don't go back. but this one I really didn't want to go back. And I'm sure it's a heck of a lot better now.
You hope. You hope.
We hope. And unfortunately, as a board member, this is what you will get. You will get people who disagree with you, people who have different opinions, perfectly fine. If they keep it respectful and professional, that's wonderful. And you can have agreements. That's why you have an odd number of people on the board.
Mhm.
That's why you hold these meetings and you bring in, you have your legal team, you have your accountants, you have everybody there you need for the board to make sure that they're being guided in the correct way. Because right now, because so many board members previously and so many boards did the wrong thing,
Mm-hmm.
that now they had to go out and get directors and officers insurance. Ah, wait a minute,
I
this
was
is
just going to ask
voluntary.
about that. I was like, did
Yeah,
we have D&O
this
insurance? Because that's literally to protect from this exact
right,
situation.
exactly. We didn't have it back then because
Right.
I think after this case they probably said,
Maybe
"Woof,
after this, they were like, we should add this in.
yeah." They, if there's a necessity, the insurance company will find it and charge you
Sure,
for
of
it. So
course.
yeah, it really is when you're serving and helping the board. It's a great time. I've had phenomenal boards that just want to prove and do the right thing. I had others that were kind of a little bit too selfish, and others that couldn't make up their minds.
Right. Their
So,
own interest. They want their
right,
own
right.
interest.
It's always, why are you on the board? Well, you either want to protect your own interest, which is a share, or you own the apartment. You want to make sure it's being run correctly. The only problem I have with boards is people who have been on there for over 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Really? There's nobody else who can fill in? There's nobody else
I
who has
think
a
it's
different
stories
opinion?
like this. No one else wants to step up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's a
Well,
volunteer basis.
it's a
So,
voluntary
yeah.
thing, but it's voluntary. But the meetings can run long. They didn't care about the manager because I had to take a car or a subway or a bus or whatever. They just pushed the button to go upstairs, and that was it. They were home.
All before Zoom, right?
Yeah, so the meetings
Right.
dragged on forever. Nobody
Right.
cared. Um, it's sometimes it's very refreshing when you see people that honestly want to make a difference and want to make the correct impact and want to save their investment and yet not blow it just because that's the kind of board that I really love.
Well, thank you both for sharing your stories with us today.
I know. Look, we've known each other
Woo! 40 something years?
40 something years. Yes,
Mhm.
since high school, since everything. We've known each other longer than both of us have been married.
Yeah.
So
Twice. Twice.
I'm I'm good. I'm good. At least I think I am. Do you know something? Did she tell you
Didn't
something?
say a word.
All right, just checking. But this is how long we've known each other. So to do a show like this comes really naturally for us.
The reason we started Building Talk was because we felt that the resident manager was not getting the recognition that they deserved in our industry. They're I consider all resident managers, and I might think of it extreme, but we're surgeons in our industry. When you talk to a surgeon or a doctor, they have the human body. Well, we have the buildings, and we know the internal of the buildings, the external of the buildings, all the mechanicals, and then you have living beings in there. So the guy who runs it or the girl who runs it, that's the surgeon. That's the one who's maintaining everything. You don't think about the garbage that has to get taken out at what time, or if you have mice problems, or if Mary's having an issue up on the 30th floor. Who's the one that they're always going to? They're going to the resident manager. And we just felt that they weren't getting that recognition, and this is why we do the podcast, and we get so many people on to explain what's going on. Like we introduced you, we brought
Mhm.
you on, so can help us out to be more efficient. So
Yeah.
that's one of the
Oh, that's my number one reason is to be more efficient with any building that I'm running, and save. Nobody
Right.
wants to spend without
right.
something. So it takes a while to earn the board or the managers or the owner's trust, but once you have that, you don't want to lose it. That's the whole thing. We're also very vulnerable because it's easy to get rid of one of us than it is a porter, than it is a doorman, than it is a handyman. Even though within our union we're not protected as well. So really, the board can turn around tomorrow and say, you know what, you got 30 days. We're not communicating. We're not doing well. We're going to give you 30 days notice to vacate. And listen, I'm not by myself. We have families.
Right?
We have kids. We have kids that go to participate in local schools.
Right. In the community.
In the community.
Yeah.
This is our community. This is our building as well. So for them to turn around and say, hey, no fault of your own, we've never gotten written up or going crazy. We always do what's best for the building. And yet, you never know who's on the board sometimes.
Clearly.
Yeah, you really don't. And that's a huge, huge problem for us because we're just basically told to pack up and leave. Leave where? This is our residence.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, I don't want to stay here if I'm not wanted because I have to use the elevator. I'm going through the garage. I'm going through here. Hey, it's sometimes it's frightening, but I believe that the overall experience that we have and the overall resident manager wants to do is do the right thing, and whatever it is for the best for the building, they will do it. And no matter what time it is, no matter what hour it is, remember COVID, everybody left the city. We stayed. We stayed in the buildings. We stayed in the neighborhoods. People were dropping dead around us. We stayed there. Okay, so it's tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough business, but our reward is just having a resident come over to you and tell you, "Hey, you're doing a great job. Thank you."
Has anyone ever thanked you for having hot water that day?
Oh,
I hear.
it's more of, why don't I have hot water?
You'll hear the right.
Yes.
Instead of it's very hard for someone to come and say, "Oh my God, thank you." You'll get them, and we don't want to say that. No, there are people who recognize that. Hey, oh my God, I saw you at 2:00 in the morning. Here you are, 7 in the morning. Back up. You didn't get? Did you get any sleep? No, we had this, and that, and they appreciate that. There are people who definitely do appreciate that.
That's great.
Yeah.
And by the way, since we live in a building, we're kind of early risers, so we know if there's no hot water or not before you do.
It affects
You'll see me running down. Oh my God!
Right, it affects us too.
Model.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you both for sharing your stories. Obviously, so meaningful to be able to hear directly from the folks that are dealing with all of this. And that's the reason I wanted to share these stories. I just think it's so fascinating. Nobody ever thinks about what makes a building run and tick, because I think it's like you said, right? If it's going well, everyone just assumes that it's fine. They're not thinking about what happens with the trash, where it goes, what happened with, that issue. It's just, if it's gone, it's gone. And you all have the juiciest stories anyway. These are the things that memoirs will be written about.
Right.
We have a lot of stories.
These are the clean ones.
Yeah, these are the
It's
clean
a family show.
All right, so we're gonna have to come back in a little while and do a
Absolutely.
follow up.
Thank you very much, Lindsay, for having us on. And Frank, tell Lindsay where she can reach us.
Well, she can reach us anywhere, but if you wanted to see the show comes out, Building Talk airs every Tuesday night on YouTube, and our website. So if anybody wants to reach us too, is Building Talk
NYC.
There you go. See
.com.
See, you got it.
He tests me all the time.
BuildingTalkNYC.com.
Right.
Yes. Perfect.
Lindsay, we'd love to come back on and explain to the people how Frank lost his hair.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we'll wait. We can wait for that one.
This is just one story. I like it.
It'll be one story. Yeah. It'll be the whole show, but it'll be one story.
Not a series of incidents that led up to it.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Can't wait for you to name the person that caused it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. So that's today's episode of If These Walls Could Talk. Super is the AI-powered communication and workflow tool for property managers. To learn more about Super, visit us at www.hiresuper.com. To share a story you have for a future episode, email us at hello@hiresuper.com.